the drafts that have come out, we've had the set so far. We've had double Mundo games. We've had things like the Hui. I mean, bro, I'm already looking forward to see what G2 pull out of the barrel here as we open game 1.
And I think also when you take into account that BrokenBlade's been one of the main chefs there, I think that Adam's also been cooking too. Are we going to see, like we've seen over in the LPL, which has taken us 1.5 minutes to mention, somehow we made it that far.
Very nice.
The Yorick, something like that. It's been very powerful in this patch. Are we going to go see some of those specific lane counters? I think if we're going to see some weird stuff top lane, this is the matchup which I think today we're going to see that in.
I mean, I like the Zara ban because maybe it's just stopping Rogue from pulling it out themselves and then forgetting that the Mundo exists. So at least that's taken off the board.
Yes, we can no longer be counted by the Mundo. Success.
We've done a very smart thing on blue side here. But the next question is what other junglers get taken away? Globally, you're still seeing Skana, you're seeing Sejuanis. We're getting the Nefiri like we got in the last game. There are a lot of jungle options right now as even Gwen is being a flex in some regions and between some teams. That's also taken off as a strong blue side pick.
Yeah, we also have stuff like the Sejuani Maokai, which also around the table, which of course in Europe has
Europe loves Maokai.
We absolutely love that.
No one else really does.
Adam hovering over the R8 as is tradition, then instantly locks the Azir. Will say this does open up a Taliyah angle for Caps. Taliyah has been incredibly good into the Azir. I think in tier 1 play, something like a 20% win rate for Azir over 30 odd games, so 80% win rate for the other side of that matchup. Wouldn't be surprised if G2 want to go towards that matchup given how good it is in Europe, then also globally as well. G2 deliberating. Not really that many cards shown by the Rogue first pick. But as we said, I'm so surprised people opt into this as it. The Taliyah has been hammering it, no matter which team it is.
And Vi's up as well. You're giving the option of Vi, you're giving the option of Xin Zhao too. Like,
oh, come on, SkewMond.
What skirmishing jungler does SkewMond want the most of?
Dude, SkewMond, I've been waiting so long for him to log that in. It's so unlikely.
When will the conditions hit?
I was casting him back in 2021, back when he was in kind of semi-pro in the UK amateur scene.
Wow, okay.
Back in the UK LC. He was playing it all the way back then. It's cool to see him hovered over. But more recently, the Pantheon, it's not the Vi, but it's still point and click for that Taliyah. I'm sure many a team remembers the Pantheon Taliyah bot lanes, which tried to succeed.
Oh my god. But I mean, the duo is there, you're right. Like, mid-jungle already set up nicely for G2. And when we highlight SkewMond and Caps getting already their bases, Rogue need to do the same thing. Now, we already talked about the Sejuani a bit, which has had common pairings with the Azir mid. Any other junglers that come to mind? Or maybe we just pass over this and move to what else is strong, maybe towards bot?
I mean, I think the Sejuani definitely helps here for Rogue because you want a solid front line so the Azir can front to back. That is the bread and butter. You need a tank somewhere, whether that is something like the Scion we've also been seeing coming out a lot in top lane as well.
Good Scion angle.
Hey, I mean, it's the Taliyah.
Bro, do you know Scion is a 70% win rate in tier 1 at the moment?
What?
It is, I mean, there's been a lot of LPL, but like, and Scion is crazy at the moment.
And I think particularly when you're looking through into different regions, you are occasionally going to pick up some osmosis of this between different regions, kind of slowly seeping in. Ezreal goes to Patrik. Double long-range carries for Rogue. They are clearly setting up for 2 to 3 items, long-range team fight with a strong front line. On the other side, G2, they've got that point-and-click combo. They have a bit more map rotation ability with the Pantheon ult. They're a little bit more dynamic in their playmaking.
And I think as well, when you're taking Han Summer's Ezreal away too, you're kind of setting yourself up for the points of success in Rogue's game 1. Now the question is, Kai'Sa, okay, slam and locked in here. Han Summer's already pulled this out once in the split, and it has not died a single death. So here we go, a bit of dive added into the mix.
It is very much the Avengers assemble for G2.
Yeah, it is.
Pantheon presses R, lands a W on someone, Taliyah flies in on the wall, and Han Summer flies in on the Kai'Sa to clean up. This is very aggressive, and now Rogue, my question is, you're setting up quite an obvious front-to-back team fight. You also now, with your last couple of picks, need to give yourself tools to survive through to those front-to-back, because I think G2 are going to be picking you across the map. You must be careful not to give them too many engage angles with weak side lane picks and stuff that can get picked off alone.
Well, then let's start talking about supports, because as Rumble goes away, surely the angle has to be G2 setting themselves up something that follows the dive. Labrov has been great on this rel. Labrov on something that has a hook as well. Also to mind is the Nautlius, the Nico setup, the Leona. That's what comes to mind when I'm looking at Kai'Sa pairings as well.
Particularly because it's such a wide map, something like Rakan could be really, really
Another
powerful.
good one.
But Labrov has options. I think we've covered a lot there.
Yeah, I think we have.
You know what? And if one of those picks gets locked in, we're going to look so clever for like a brief moment.
All for any 5 of them, which are definitely going to get locked in.
Yeah, you know, increasing the odds just a little bit. Whereas on the other side, G2 wants to ban away, of course, that Rumble, which is very good at wave clearing and a very strong lane phase in its own right. I think the Alistar could have been a bit of a problem because you can't pick off the Alistar, really.
It's rel on 4 here. That's what they're fishing for, surely.
Yeah, Signal's a good rel pick. Yeah, for sure. Can definitely see that. Of course, with the Kai'Sa, Nautlius also on the table too.
Yeah. Wow, supports are being rattled off. It's like psychics, you know? I'm not to diss any psych. Hey, if you want to believe in that, let me just tell you one thing.
If you say enough stuff, one of them will be true.
Yeah, I'm sensing a Nautilus in the room. Is there a Nautilus in the room? I heard of a Nautilus. Leona. It starts with an L. Maybe Nico. I'm getting warm around one of these.
I love your psychic power you're putting on display here. I wish G2 would lock it a little bit quicker, so that timing would have worked out much
worth
better.
$1.
And of course, that means that they'd, of course, be leaving blind pick up the BB as well, who is a very big chef in that top lane, gives them some value there. See, I mentioned the Rakan.
Oh, you did.
So potentially I.
That's why you work in duos as psychics. Someone to feed into your ear and someone to present.
So, what's the going to be the support pick? Counter into the Kai'Sa Rakan. If you really want lane pressure, you could go for something like the Ezreal Karma, but I don't really feel like that's been the Ezreal lane of choice here in Europe. Probably want some harder CC. A secondary tank frontliner from that support could be quite important here for Execute. Nautilus being able to start off fights very well, but can get picked off quite easily actually against this heavy CC combo. Will need to be positioned well to not give G2 easy kills onto him.
Okay, so Naut, set up. Let's follow it up. Let's see what comes in top lane, because Adam has been the star player from Rogue. And you'll hear us talk a lot about him through the series, no matter how this goes, but up against BrokenBlade, when BrokenBlade has so many options, Aurora top. Double AP solo laners here. What do you run into Aurora? That's the biggest question, isn't it?
I mean, I think you can. I mean, so typically Aurora's been picked into bruisers and tanks, so she bullies out that lane. But Aurora's not been capitalizing on leads that well.
Yeah.
I don't think BB needs to pick anything specific in that top lane. I think he picks whatever he wants. I don't think he has to pick anything specific. Now, if there's a laugh there, that worries me. There's a laugh. We're going to go see that. Okay, right.
Galio
Magic damage top laner, double AP solo laners, Galio top, BB special. Makes a lot of sense. And it's another global. Oh my god, literally everyone could fly it. I love it. G2, one person pings a side lane, everyone turns up the party.
This is like an FPX comp. I mean, change a couple of pieces around. It's like FPX 2019.
Yeah.
You have a Galio, you have full dive otherwise.
Do you ever talk about team comps like a certain vintage? Oh, we have a 2019 G2.
I mean, all we're missing is like a Nautilus mid or something.
Yes.
You know, shifted around. There's like a GP for another global. That's a good point. Yeah. There are vintages to comps, isn't there?
Where is there?
I mean, I think of like what is it, Carrier Varus lane? Sorry, the Caitlyn Varus.
Yeah.
From like T1 that has its own vintage to it.
Sure. And I think Rogue as well. I mean, this is definitely something that we've come to know of them now. We'll see whether there's something they can leverage on and make it into their own vintage for carrying down that line. They have a strong front to back. They have 3 longer range carries. The Aurora a little bit shorter, but the double front line makes it easier to play that 5v5 G2. They might just pick you off before they reach that point. They press the go button and things will explode. Okay. G2 have been pretty good at that in the past.
Well, Rogue have been good at stalling out the game as well, though. So let's see if they can do exactly that. As we get into game 1, just a quick reminder, the BO3s are well and truly underway. We have 7 weeks of this, but it's only a single round robin, so you only get 1 chance. For Rogue, they're sitting 1-3. Their story's not done, but their win against Vitality, their loss against Giants, there's a lot of Easter eggs hidden in this comp. We just have to find out what it is. When I say comp, I mean Rogue itself. What do they find against G2? Is it going to be another Rogue day? All this and more answered in our next BO3. We welcome back G2 as well. We haven't talked much about G2. Like, I feel like every single time G2 are on the Rift, we talk about the same old thing. And that's because G2 are G2. They are the vintage that, you go to buy. You know, we're talking about wines. Like, I go in, I get a Penfolds because I know Penfolds is bloody good. And it's rarely ever bad. That's G2. They're a favorite.
Oh, man. See, I no longer go and buy that stuff. I'm a tea enjoyer.
Ooh, okay. Well, what kind of tea would Rogue be?
Well, I think they're slightly more spicy than they were last split. Maybe a chili chai.
Or a chili, not even just a chai, a chili chai. Well, that is a good vintage. Now, if you like chili chai, stay tuned. Because for Rogue, it gets better with age, doesn't it? It's been sitting in the cabinet for a little bit. I think we have to admit that over spring, there has been development. Hell, I'll even say over this year, there's been a lot to look forward to.
Rogue promised something different when they signed the players they did this offseason. And I think in winter, we didn't get what there was advertised. I think this split, though, we're seeing a little bit more. Yes, their average game time is very long, but I've got to say I've been captivated. I'm not going to say I'm lacking entertainment, and that's a great thing to see. Rogue, a team which I hope can really leverage off of, a resurging Larssen. Well, that could be interesting here at level 1.
Face checking against the Nautilus is good for Execute and Patrik. Small trade from Han Summer, but that Q connecting as well means Patrik and Execute might have a really good start to this lane.
Starting with the W on the Nautilus gives you the HP trade, takes a bit of damage into the shield, doesn't last on your HP bar.
Yep.
Of course, Nautilus will get a little bit annoyed if he gets tagged by the Rakan Q and the stain starts coming through, but still, something nice there from that level 1. Potentially gives them some push in the bot lane. Jungle starting on opposite sides of the map, worth noting. Does mean that there's potential options on other sides of the map once they've finished their clear.
Oh, it does also mean you might have a Sejuani bot for something that Rogue can play with as well, with a Nautlius, which always feels nice, as they're going to hit level 2 first, and Labrov and Hansama paying close attention. You look towards mid, Caps right now doing well in the lane, and Nymaera, you already talked about this, I know as you as a mid laner, like, we are seeing a lot of this Azir priority, especially in EU, when other regions are walking away from it, as Dredgeline comes in, Hansama feels the hook and the wrath, and XQ takes a turret shot, but again, Rogue's pressure continues. I think I have time to ask you a little bit about mid, because this Taliyah pick is everywhere. Taliyahs and Aries, they're following like flies. And there's a reason we don't see much Azir anywhere else in the world.
And I think particularly the Taliyah is a very big comfort pick in Europe, but anywhere in the world, it is very good into Azir. We were talking about this in the Champions Select a little earlier. I think the win rate of Azir versus Taliyah, and this is over about 30 games globally in this season so far, it's about a 20% win rate. It's very, very low. And this has happened in upset games. This has happened in various different ways. It's not just good teams picking Taliyah, bad teams picking Azir. This has happened across the board. So the fact that people keep picking into it can be a bit of an issue. And it looks like G2 have the better side of that matchup for this game.
Dredgeline again, small poke comes through, and again, I just need to add a bit of context there. We are seeing some Azir, but again, we're seeing more of the Taliyahs, more of the Aries. And as you said, the matchup can be quite spicy. I just noted 10 LPL games of it when there's been a lot of best of threes that have already come through. LCK, 13 games of it, and while the win rate's not too bad, like, again, sparingly seen when EU is already getting close to those numbers with a much smaller split. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think of something. I want you to close your eyes and think of something. I want you to think of blood. Now, with Rogue, you have to do that. You have to envision how they're going to participate in these big fights. And Nymaera, even if it's a 2 items, I don't mind it, because you already set it up before. I mean, we have an Azir, we have an Ezreal. You know, Adam's going to be a big picture in these fights, but, like, we know that G2 probably have a bit more speed on their side.
Yes.
And a lot more strength in the mid-jungle. But Rogue, when they get to those team fights, hey, it's EU, baby, 25 minutes. That's what we want to see this game, right?
Hey, I mean, when I think of Rogue as an organization, mid to late game 5v5s is definitely something which was their specialty before.
Oh, yeah.
I think the way that I would very, very distill this down to, get it down to the basic blocks, is I think Rogue, when everyone is on the screen, 5 versus 5, feel more confident.
True.
G2 are better at getting all 5 of their members on the same screen at the same time.
True.
They can really respond quickly to plays across the map and pull the trigger very well. So, of course, we'll see what happens once we get out of laning phase. We'll see if there's any big leads to come through that. We'll see the early objective trades. Once we hit the mid game, that's how I'm expecting these teams to play out.
Stretch line again. Labrov just gets chunked out, and this is all Patrik can do. The wave's building up, so G2 are playing with that. Quick side note, I know you're talking about it before. I've got to bring it up, that we actually do have the win rate of Taliyah so far in isolation. KDA looks good, though.
Yeah, and I think that we've seen it from every team. The other hook lands, a lot landed from XQ.
Yeah, there is, and Ignite committed as well. This might be a little bit more. XQ has his flash available, and Labrov, his flash not going to be burned. Meanwhile, we just go top, because that's just the way it's going to be. Nothing happens bot. It's XQ with the summoner versus Labrov burning his heal.
Oh, really good hook accuracy from Execute. We did see that SkewMond path away from bot lane to go towards the top side. And we see Cap's still on level 6. He's playing onto the weak side of the map. Spots out Malrang. Not looking for a play, but gets information for his team. Was wondering if there was something to be done there. Was moving with a bit of intent.
And just on a ward, I mean, Dragon's going to be spotted, and straight to the grubs goes SkewMond in 20 seconds as they spawn. Cap's also with level 6. I mean, we already talked about the globality. Is that a word?
It is now. It's a neologism, inventing a new word.
The globality of this comp. It sounds like such a, powerful word.
The globular nature of G2.
It's along the lines of foundationalizing.
I didn't catch that one. I wasn't. Oh no, I was.
You were.
I was. Wonderful.
We just were entranced by it.
Many things we learned.
Jacksepticeye, like, insane quote. Can't believe we got him on the desk in the end. It was a big pull.
I swear you just never stop. So you grub to trade for Dragon across the map. There's a lot of interesting conversations about whether you should trade Grubs for Dragon, which side is the best right now. I think in week 1, Rogue found that them getting Grubs wasn't working. They went towards stacking Dragons. That hasn't completely been clean for them either, but it has been slightly more successful. G2 getting the 3 Grubs, though, with their globals being able to overload on a side of the map. That does worry me a little bit. Of course, G2 look pretty good in terms of win percent and their Drake percent. When you're winning, you tend to do quite a lot of that.
You get objectives, you win. And I guess G2, they also probably end the game before the souls come up as well. I mean, that's also something.
There is obviously context which is hard to bring into that with just a couple of lines of stats. But you can see there is a lot of, particularly in the later weeks, Rogue really started focusing more on souls, because I think a couple other games versus Heretics from memory went a bit awry because they got a load of grubs, couldn't use them, got outsold, lost.
Especially since, like, getting to Elder sooner for Rogue works out, because usually it takes 2. No disrespect. It's just
maybe going for a lane gank.
But Kenny now with Dredgeline down. Labrov just sidesteps that. Hunt Summer and Labrov perfectly healthy as well. And Malrang's still going to stick around, but the wave is safely pushed in and nothing to be done. Hard against Rakan.
I think we're getting to the point now, next few levels, after we get the next grub spawning, next dragon spawning as well. I think that's when G2 might start making their first big power plays. Currently, teleports are down. Their ultimates are up, but when you've got the first rank of the Galio ult, first rank of the Taliyah ult, a little low range to impact the game in the way that you want to. So Rogue will need to start putting their head on a swivel, because that's going to be very, very dangerous to track.
Just glad we're underway. It's 8 minutes into the game. There's no forced movements. Caps is looking for something. There's an ulti. It's nice from Larssen. The flash away from Caps means he's in trouble. Larssen matches it into Caps. The ulti's going to be popped, but there he gets pulled off a little bit early. SkewMond comes flying in as well. The Pantheon with good momentum to chase the True Shot Barrage. Only going to tag a bit. Here's Malrang with the ulti, but it's a little late, and it's against a statue. Rogue send in the members, but no one dies in the end.
But that's pretty big for Rogue. Larssen gets a solo play and gets so many globals out. You get the Pantheon ult, you get the Galio ult. Caps tries to use his ult defensively. G2, who may have been looking for a big global play in the next few minutes, will have to wait until those cooldowns come back now.
Larssen again, feeling his boots a bit. What did he say in the interview with Law? He's like, I'm sick of losing, you know? And I mean, as Rogue, when you think about their last successful split, of course you'd be wanting a bit of gratification when you're going up against some of these teams in Europe that are starting to rise up. Where's your name in the list? For Rogue, look, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I just love telling a story of an underdog. I think he's an Australian. I don't know what other countries in Europe really have that.
Do you all your dogs underdogs in Australia?
Yeah, because they're all upside down. They got to go, you know, they're the wrong way around. Of course they're under. Now, Patrik doesn't have much mana here. We stop there, we think of the thought of the 2v2, and it goes kaput. Nothing else is going to happen here. But a minute 20 till Grubs, a minute 40 till the Dragon. As you said, some of those globals are going to be down. We'll question what comes up, because SkewMond's ulti should be there, but Caps on the Weaver's wall. He's got about a minute 30-ish to go.
Might have an angle onto him here.
Might indeed, because Caps has no flash. Permafrost with Larssen able to hit and free hit would be good, but SkewMond in the way. This turns into a 2v2 where for SkewMond, as he's flashed on by Malrang, he still has the damage. Malrang looks too ambitiously and stares death in the eye. SkewMond with first blood as Adam made the roam up and gets one for himself. The hero of Rogue on the board.
Still technically a trade-up because G2 are in the 2v3 with Adam committing to it. SkewMond some nice little fancy mechanics in there. I think he ended up stunning Malrang as he went to break the permafrost, so I'm not sure he took the damage from the Sejuani passive, but whatever, bit of a much for much.
Adam's coming in though, sneaky. Labrov, he's going to be ultied out. He gets interrupted as well with the quickness versus depth charge. Going to give him enough distance. Execute has minions in the way and an ulti committed, but Labrov down with all summoners.
And while all this is happening, you know, Caps has been forced off the wave a little bit. He'll be second to whatever player happens in the next while. BrokenBlade pushing in. He's about to get his teleport and his ult back up. Rogue, though, doing well to contest G2 and blow some of those cooldowns, which might be important for G2 as they look for the next grubs and whatever objective they want to choose.
BrokenBlade just getting away from Adam as note Adam is going for the, I'm going to call it Cho'Gath build.
Oh, the super speed?
Yeah, we're going super speed, like, you know, versus the Avengers. Who's the one in Marvel who can... Who's got super speed? Like, who's...
Quicksilver, I guess.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is the Flash not Marvel?
No, that's the other one.
Oh, no, the other one. We don't even say DC. No. They don't have a game. They probably did, but we just didn't play it.
Yeah, they had a movie about Flash, and it was... that's like the fail Flash over the wall. That's how I'll describe it.
Oh, good. Oh, Grub's going to go down. The trade is 3 for 3, and SkewMond is just going to get a Dragon, so we're going to have an even trade across the board. There's no real gold lead in this game, but what there is a fed Pantheon versus Larssen in a pretty good position. That's what I'll say, because again, this is here, as we already talked about, keeping up with the Taliyah, and I think this is one of the few lanes we've seen where Taliyah's not coming out at 15 minutes with the lead.
Especially in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
In Europe, I think that Taliyah has been such a crutch pick when I think of even mid laners which were struggling a little bit. Taliyah has been a good, comfortable pick for them, where they managed to kind of understand that you can stand a little bit back, you don't have to be putting yourself at risk that much, you can wait for your next combo.
Yep.
And I think particularly in a game like this, you can stop someone like the Sejuani queuing forwards, or the Azir can struggle to really get a shuffle. Might be a little bit difficult in the front to back, because Azir, if he gets to hit the front line and you're hitting the front line, Azir always gets more value than you, though. So it's not a completely passive matchup. You do need to do some legwork.
It's like when Nash's comes first as well. We've had some Leandri's builds, and I'm just thinking like globally again, but Nash's does feel nice.
I think when you're against it, so if you go for the Leandri's first, have a bit more HP to brawl with.
Yep.
But if you don't want to shuffle anyway against the Taliyah, why would you do that?
At least it's not Rod of Ages.
True!
I mean, God, we were talking about it backstage, but like, it feels like everyone and their uncle is building Rod of Ages on any mage mid. Any mage.
Someone walks in with a top hat, you think it's cool, everyone starts wearing top hats, you wait for a couple
And then you take a step back and you're like, why the hell are we wearing top hats? Yeah.
Glad we're on the same page about that. I think Rod of Ages is definitely one of those item builds where, look, if you see Chovy building it, it does really well, you're like, damn, this is really good to start building that. You're not Chovy all the time. You've got to make use of your build, and you've got to match your playstyle to your build too. That's the golden rule.
The reality hit to our audience, you're not Chovy.
One vision, they look for a play here.
Execute Chovy. Dredge line interrupts, seismic shot flashed away from. Rogue are bringing in more members. Larssen ready to shuffle in again, but there's no dragon up, so it doesn't lead to anything. Rogue just lose their support splash, and that's about that.
No one really attacking with much intent here. Getting away flashes from something like X2 can be quite important. You know, there's a chance now that he walks up again onto Vision and there's a Weaver's Wall to cut off an exit. Use those globals. G2 definitely entering that window of time now where they want to start pulling their ultimates across the map, forcing plays. I think in a game like this, very important to kind of track when you're going between those plays, if some random flashes are blown, if random ultimates are blown like that too, because it stops you being able to defend or make those kind of plays. You know, what happens if you don't have Pantheon ult when you go for that play because you've used it somewhere else? What happens if you don't have Azir flash? Really changes the nature of the map. Right now, not enough action to really force that, but that's the kind of play which I wonder either team should be looking for.
And again, not surprised here. Moby's upgraded by Adam, and he's reached his 150. And you know, I was so foolish. I was playing, I think...
Today, or?
Yeah, just usual. Yeah. I was playing too much Swift play like a couple of months ago, and I remember at the start of the split, I was like, man, I was like, it's so crazy. What dictates 120 versus 150 Teemos of unit to upgrade the boots? And I was playing Swift play, and that's why. Yeah. Because in Swift play, like, they obviously changed a lot of things.
Yes.
And the problem in Swift play is there's only 3 dragons, and then it's Soul, and then there's 3 grubs only. And Baron's up at 15 minutes. You play too much Swift play, and then you get to normal League of Legends. Your timings are completely off.
I had that issue with Arena. I was thinking, why does Bloodletters work differently in Arena than it does from all the other stuff? Anyway.
Bro, wait, how do I get the spatula in this mode? Like...
many kills it is. It's fun in Nexus splits too. Anyway, some important stuff coming up in the next few minutes. Minute 30 on Herald, 2 minutes on Dragon. We're on the Chemtech Rift. I think Chemtech actually in games like this, quite important. Increase your tenacity, one of the few ways that you can get that with basic dragons. The Soul, kind of lackluster. The actual dragons themselves, though, I'll take them in a lot of different ways. Thank you for Los Platos checking.
Los Platos?
Los Platos, the crockery store. Oh. Well, it's not that. There's the place.
No, I heard Los Platos. I just thought of Resident Evil 4 for some reason.
Why?
Because the Los, what's it called?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
The guys that shot Un Bonastelo or whatever, you know? Los Plagas.
Right.
Big. Good game.
I learned so much from every cast.
Well, I mean, you should learn this. If you haven't played Resident Evil 4, the remake, go play it.
I've heard.
The original is so good, the remake is fantastic. Dragon, you know that one you're talking about? Minute. Separated by the Herald.
Yeah, and that Herald, obviously very important. In slower games like this, Herald does gain a lot of value. We'll just highlight some stuff which is happening on the map as well, because we do have really different control happening with wards up here from Rogue, and Rogue's down here around the Dragon from G2. Very clear difference in where they want to play around the map. G2 needs to be very careful entering the top side of the map. Malrang is off of Vision, potentially force a play. Hard to against Pantheon this strong, though.
Yeah, I mean, Malrang's at least get in with the heart still up and available, and this first item's really across the board as well as the Hollow Radiance on BrokenBlade. He likes to all in now, and against Adam, he uses Shurelya's in response. Gets a good trade back, but there is some lettuce in the river. Just going to be taken up by G2's top laner, while Rogue are focusing on the Herald for now.
Vision.
Caps is indeed. He gets shuffled back and caught out. Caps dead. Shut down over to Malrang. Teleport going to be burned towards top. Adam comes in, but G2 have lost their mid laner.
Larsen's on really good form in the first 15 minutes, really punishing G2. Now 3 versus 3 in the mid lane. It's not like G2 can get that much else. I'm kind of surprised Rogue didn't immediately run towards that Herald. I guess they weren't looking to contest the Dragon anyway here. BB gets alone time on turret though. So despite the kill going over towards Rogue, BB's getting a lot of value.
It really is. And again, I mean, this Galio, when you have double AP solo laner, the value is only going to be immense. Rogue going to get some gold themselves. It's going to be shared, but at the very least, turret goes down, and that equals up the gold somewhat. But remember, G2 are going to be Dragon stacking here in this game after the Cloud. 2 more to go versus this Herald to see if Rogue can get any more pressure and open up the map a bit.
I have to say, that last series of play where Caps is caught, kind of surprised G2 didn't respect that more. They were aware their vision was on the bot side of the map. Top side of the map didn't feel like it was their place to be, and obviously walked over wards, and that was his demise. So G2 will need to tighten that up. Rogue Good play, though. I mean, they put the wards down. Pretty easy play to...
They did put the wards down.
To capitalize on that.
It's always nice when you hear that your laners have put the wards down, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you have issues with that?
Oh, consistently. Cap's not going to get caught out for the same basket as Malrang was waiting in Pixel Brush, and yeah, he's going to have to surely take the longer way, Caps. I mean, he's got Labrov moving up, and there's a threat of SkewMond ulting in, which Rogue pay homage to and pay attention to. But hey, overall, good game state, 7.5 minutes. Rogue are chilling. Look at this comp. The fact that gold is even, I would be cheering. And I mean, even trying to threaten Caps, who has no turret to fall back on. The only way you save is the fact that SkewMond still continues to hover.
A lot of people hovering towards top side. Hans Sammer is actually in a very big power spike right now. This build, which we've seen, the Yuntal into, well, it's various options, it kind of goes for a second, but Yuntal plus Pickaxe does give you, Q upgrade is very quick on that front. Yep. He has that Q upgrade, that is the early game power spike for a Kai'Sa if you want to play around that area of the game. And he's in a really good spot now. He has the double AP solo lane, he also allows you to go, of course, full AD. You feel a lot better about denying some resist from the enemy team.
BrokenBlade's going to keep trading. We look back towards top. Larssen flip back a bit. Caps get some damage down. Here comes the Pantheon off, but SkewMond a little bit out of range. Would have to commit the flash, but chooses not to in the end. They're just looking for top turret, I guess, with the pressure with Labrov moving into position as well.
Executes recalling. Looks like Rogue have given up the defense of this tower, which means that, despite Rogue having some decent vision control, getting those picks earlier, losing bot lane turret once they teleport away from it, losing top lane turret now, like gold goes over to Caps, G2 slowly opening up the map. And now you don't have those side lane turrets. It becomes a lot harder to disengage from that play the next time it happens.
Might have to use a Herald and open up mid soon as well. Makes sides a little bit easier to play through as BrokenBlade. Make sure there's no option in the bottom side of the map. You're right, for Rogue, that hurts them by about 1,000 gold. That was the play for G2. And look across the board. I mean, there's small incremental gold leads throughout.
Azir going towards that Void Staff second as well. He was really angling to do as much damage to that Galio as possible. Play that front to back. Reminded Rogue are playing front to back comp. Feels like we are, well, I mean, Betty highlighted him pre-game, right? 37-minute average.
Yeah, we are.
Well, thank you for Colourful Grass. Yeah. It's my iPad baby time. I need something interesting to look at. Thank you.
That's true. Then we got a limit screen time. Not good for their eyes, is it? Chat, I don't want you to look at the mountain for too long. I don't want you to get sucked in, okay? Look at the game and let's learn together. Let's learn item builds. Okay.
Could you imagine learning League of Legends on, like, your language apps and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
What does Lighting Jewel build into? Good job.
Ooh. How do I pronounce this?
Cyrilda's Grudge.
Cyrilda's.
Good job.
If I didn't know English as a base language, I'd look at Cyrilda's, I'd be confused.
Dude, we already had a bit of an issue with Syzygy back when we had that. SkewMond jumped onto. Not starting the fight just yet. Herald summon in mid lane, looking to break open the map. Of course, Rogue no real pressure in this mid lane just yet.
There's no Syzygy with this play, actually. SkewMond's caught out, but he buys some time, gets a stun down. The hero's entrance is good, and I was going to say that, but SkewMond survived so much longer than I thought. Rogue couldn't get the damage committed, and they're probably just not at the point yet. Larssen sped up by the Auroras. Labrov sets up with the quickness and the all-in. It's perfectly done. SkewMond again just refuses to say die. BrokenBlade has to flash out in the end, but he's okay. A permafrost followed by Rogue's Malrang, but G2 have won the play, and they've won it off the back of singular members.
Wonderful engage there from G2. That's going to stop any kind of gain that happened with that Herald there. In fact, Rogue are going to lose their own mid lane turret, and G2 now have every single outer turret. The next time that they start looking for these plays with more and more turrets down, it gets more easy to pull off. Really wanting to look at Labrov re-engaging in the middle of this fight. He has a wonderful moment to pick off just an extra person at the end of this fight. Going on to the Pantheon, not really your target. Has the E, has the Sundered Sky, makes it very easy for him to shrug off that initial engage. And then Labrov here, great front steps. He sees just a step far too forward, uses the E to get into range, still has the ult. I think that was disrespected by Patrik, goes down easily, but Labrov sees the opportunity and takes it well.
You notice as well, Adam, I mean, he might have his second item now, I believe, but whether he did in the fight, that Aurora doesn't do as much burst damage as someone with something like a revolver, right? So, yes, we've now got a Shadow Flame there. Nice, but you're not going to get as much as you thought, coming through the fact that he started with the Shirelia's Blessing.
Yeah. Also doesn't help they were against, 4 Merc Treads for the early magic resist.
That's also a piercing blood, isn't it?
That's personal, that is. Damn, why are they using it against me, huh?
Oh, dear Lord. Well, 3k gold lead for G2, and it's going to become that much easier for G2 again to itemize against the double AP solo lanes. Dragon's going to be started by Rogue, it looks like, but this 5v5 they're hoping for, I guess they're hoping because Larssen has 2 items.
Patrik also just getting the transformation now. More about it. That's a good power spike. Of course, caught out very early in that last play. Rogue quickly taking the dragon down.
Well, SkewMond is going to face check this. Going for a 50-50 is like where we start. XQ tries to get in the way, but G2 do not. They leave it as 2 for 2 dragons in the game as G2 also have the inside track towards mid. Adam trying to get there first, but Rogue are all spotted out. Moving through Tri-Brush on a ward.
Ezreal trying to clear out a bit of that mid wave. G2 do have a lot of tools still to start fights. They can Pantheon ult if they really find someone on vision. You got the Taliyah ult as well. When you leave an objective like that as Dragon, you do need to be very careful that you're not leaving someone just out to dry. Because G2 can, if there is just a random ward which you've missed, can absolutely punish you that. Still, G2 in a really good spot now. They have a team which can really punish the open map, as we've highlighted probably to death at this point. Sorry for telling you even more about that.
That's okay.
They also have complete control. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I am the voice.
Potentially a threat by G2. If they can seal off Rogue from going through that Tri-Brush, which they can definitely do with the Taliyah, that's a bit of a problem for Rogue.
They're all down here and on a ward. They know that it's started and that G2 are committing. Adam's going to be in first, but the face checking needs to be done by Execute and Malrang. Hans Sama is out of the blue, and they're just going to leave Rakan for now. G2 looking to draw in Rogue a little bit closer.
BrokenBlade on the flank will be spotted. Oh, here comes Pantheon.
He just rolls on in onto Adam, onto Larssen. Who do you want? He finds a mid laner, and with the hero's entrance as well, BrokenBlade zones out the whole fight. Execute doesn't get a chance. Shield of Durand, a false turret behind them, but gives no inspiration to Patrik. He drops like a fly as Labrov is the opposite answer. 2 for 1, bot laners get it hard.
Oh, it's a superhero landing from SkewMond, really helped out by the Galio. Splits the team fight wonderfully, and Rogue can't contest this out to Khan now. Larssen would have to teleport back in, but he hasn't managed to recall in time. BrokenBlade holding the door shut. G2, good objective.
I mean, BrokenBlade won't die to these two. It'll take a long time. He just punches away. Good zoning from Caps in the meantime as well. SkewMond's low, but they don't know that yet. Rogue are unaware, and with Tri-Brush control just lost as well. SkewMond, okay, now they spot him out, but the smite's going to come down, and GA acquired. G2 with another big back play.
I love this kind of composition, really dynamic, splitting up the team fight well, and now that GA will last into the Baron spawn as well. That is going to be very important. G2, to get that, they start pushing in the map, and it gets, well, we said this a couple of times, even harder for Rogue. So the initial start from G2, I thought they'd hold them up at the Tri-Brush, but they said, no, we'll bait them in a little further, and we'll use this gigantic Galio ult to force the damage away from our players, while we end up getting someone split on the other side of it. You can't protect both sides of the fight. Roll over with the numbers disadvantage, particularly someone like Hans Sama didn't even need to use the ult. He could have gone even further if he wanted to. Rogue lucky to not lose more members there even.
And even Caps, even though he had a rough couple of moments in the early game, what he adds to this comp, so good for G2. The zone control continuously trumping a bit of Rogue here. As blue buff even stolen away, I believe. Rogue are just trying to defend their own base with minions crashing in. And as you said, 15 seconds towards the Baron. G2 holding control of all vision in the top side of the map.
I have to say, the more I look back at it, the more I'm kind of worried about how Rogue traded tower for tower on the second time of it, but that teleport away when they caught Caps earlier, leaving that bot lane tower open, felt like it set off a chain of dominoes with D2, and now locking off, I mean, let's look at the minimap even, right? Where are your wards from Rogue? The closest one to the enemy side of the map is there. That is the extent of your vision. You have, I mean, you've got a couple of blue trinkets there. You are working without information against a team that punishes you for not having information.
Very true.
G2, very clean game, and here come the ultimates.
Yeah, Larssen, who was once killing, is now going to be frilling because he's up against a turret with no hope. The full dive comes online, and this is what G2's comp was built for. You say Ed2. I say G2 are still cleaning house.
Clean use of the ultimates, G2. Punish Rogue for sending people to too many different parts of the map. Larssen had no backup. And of course they have the Atacant to make sure it's extra super safe as well. Malrang's even trying to split push in the mid lane, because what else can he do? He can maybe head over towards the Baron, but without the Azir, you can't really fight. You're looking for a steal at best.
BrokenBlade's getting the zone. Malrang gets nowhere near it. They're level 13. It's a level and a half down, and you just see how hard it is for Jungle to play the game. Shield of Durand is going to be a one, only one, but for BrokenBlade at half HP, he's taken next to no damage. He's bought time. Execute with the depth charge, but Baron now down. Remember, they still have GA for a little bit, and it's going to be used out. 1 GA down, 200 gold for the cost of Baron. Not bad.
And of course, with the Atacant, it's not even like you lose that Baron buff onto the one member that died there of Labrov. A little bit of pressure going to be seeded in this mid lane. Maybe Patrik can get the mid lane turret, but it feels like it is a very, very slim silver lining. G2 did basically the textbook move. Take the Baron, goes on to Baron. They could take the Atacant, goes on to the Baron easily with the GAs, and now they're in complete control if they weren't before.
Now let me just add some coke to the fire.
Yeah. What have you got?
I've been here before with the Rogue series. I've been into the depths of despair and non-tranquility, whatever the opposite of that is. I have seen Rogue versus BDS. I've been through the GX fire. I've watched them slap Vitality around a little bit.
The non-tranquility.
Even though Rogue can sometimes just like roll over and die, I also think there's games where Rogue never say die. I'm not going to say that this game is done until G2 run it home, even though G2 are a top 2 team.
Hey, let's see if they can get into 37 minutes again. They do get themselves G2, the extra Chemtech Dragon, the extra heal on shield power, and the tenacity. Go nicely for them. Bush bait happening in the spot side now. Larssen shows it, ruins it.
He does indeed. Labrov's also coming from a flank, gets a deep ward, and Malrang jumps on him. But again, Rakan means no worries. He's got the Hakuna Matata mentality.
I thought there was Hakuna Matata, not, you know, Labrov, or whatever it is.
Rakan is like the Timon of this, you know, of this conversation.
I thought it was going to be Sejuani meant to be on the other side.
Sejuani is Pumbaa, for sure. I don't know what Execute is. Wrong game, wrong movie franchise, just doesn't belong there. Dead for a third time in this game, and his bot turret is going to open up with that pick as well. And here's a Pantheon ult rolling through. SkewMond going to zone off and make sure Piggy goes nowhere. Pumbaa needs to start singing now. SkewMond blocking some damage from Patrik is nice, but it's all for the turret. Send him away with Cap's ulti used well as Labrov. A good dodge as well, because the turret was going to kill it with that two-shot barrage.
G2 pushing him very heavily, of course. Breaking the outer turret, the inner turret, everything outside the base. On Patrik. Free! No, it's not. Close though, close. You know when you see, you're walking, I've noticed, Berlin does this a lot. You're walking and like, a new Reaver just opened up near me, right? Yep. And they're just giving samples out. Which for those of you who are not in Germany is like a, you know. It's a Woolies. Yeah. It's a supermarket. Walmart? I don't know, bro. No, I don't know. Carry on the story. Go on. But there's free samples everywhere. Yep. Free sushi, free bread, free salami, everything. Now, I can't remember why I started this story, but I feel like that's what... I don't know why you started it either. Well, I was waiting for you to do anything with that. Salami. I got distracted by the free samples. It's your birthday, so I give you, I give you a freebie on that. I should get a buzz every day. Why did I bring this up? Oh my god, my ADHD is off the charts. I mean, G2 are kind of window shopping for an end to this game. Looking through top lane, going through the different aisles or lanes. Dragon coming up in 3 minutes. They don't need Soul to win this, right? I mean, we were seeing earlier, G2... It was Labrov. He was a free kill, and it was like, you could see Patrik saw the sample, he ran for it, but they ran out. I'm so glad you reached the end of that story somehow, some way. Incredible. Story time with Hysterics. You're only going to hear on the LEC. A truly unique experience. We should write this into a book. It will sell 1 copy, because I will buy it myself. You need one of those like Hope Core montages where it's just complete gibberish from yourself. I'd do it. As opposed to the normal stuff I produce. Very logical. G2 got this game in their back pocket. Like I said, I'm not willing to give up on Rogue yet, but 8.5k gold lead, there is about 80% of me that is saying, okay, this could be in the too hard basket, but we did see a Team Heretics win today from 13,000 gold down, and it was with a similar composition of a very strong 5v5. The difference is they had Ocean Soul. Yes. And that kind of swayed it a bit into their favor. And that's typically how Rogue have overcome their later game worries as well. They have a soul. They haven't been able to stack dragons here because G2 have kind of pounced on them and they've shown those openings, and now they're in a position where obviously it looks a little bit slow. It is a low, it doesn't even just look like it. It is slower paced right now. They are slowly bleeding out because one of the big things when you are behind this far, you don't even get your jungle camps. G2 gets to farm both set of jungle camps. It means that there's a 3,000 gold lead in the jungle right now. SkewMond on the Pantheon, a champion he's done so much damage with here in the LEC. I think he's by far the best Pantheon within the LEC that we've seen from the game switch, from all of our jungles, really. And Rogue is slowly bleeding out. So while they're holding on, is it getting better for them? They do have the 3 items on the Azir. That is helpful. That's actually tangible. That's okay. If you let the Azir free hit for long enough, maybe that can be a problem. G2, I'm going to guess, are not going to easily let him do that. No, I don't think so either. I think that would be quite logical. Patrik is spamming emote. I guess it's just because he's waiting. He got the 88 APM, you know? Yeah. That's the 113 reason. True. Back when he used to be the emote spammer. I mean, Taliyah is the emote spammer of the league, surely. True. He is now, yeah. I don't know what happened to the weird tongue smolder because it changed into a B. Yeah. It changed into the KC emote, and then I think it's still the B. But we have big emote spammers in the league. They're just non-stop. Yeah, and Dagda's already told the story of Wayward as well. There was that one tennis player, which similar mind game where Wayward would emote so much that people would walk into a brush next to him. I'm repeating the story, of course, but people would walk up into the brush and they would emote and see if he emoted back, and then he would know there's a ward in that brush. It reminds me of this one tennis rivalry where someone knew where the other person was going to serve to because their tongue would stick out the mouth in a certain direction and go that way. So then he had to play the mind game of, do I let him know that I know about the mind game? So then you would only do it in the most important matches. And then many years later, he actually told him, it's like, I knew you were doing that. I even told my wife I was going crazy. And blah, blah, blah.
Oh my god, smart. No way, mega smart actually. So you hear that in your solo queue, you can take that and emote the bush. Yeah, you actually have to use psychology in League of Legends. It's a very complex thing. No. You have to have a very high IQ to understand League of Legends. League of Legends, you need psychology. You need a psychologist after playing a couple of days of solo queue, trust me. Okay, Baron is now up and available. Roken managed to push outside of their base. G2 maybe looking for a chance to pounce. Caps recalling, Dragon being taken would be Soul, and then Taliyah will look to teleport topside. Well, I mean, Baron's not going down quick enough, so for Rogue, this could be so dangerous. Soul gone, Hansama might not be in, but he's going to be chasing down. Here's everyone jumping in. Pantheon, Olden, Baron exposed and stolen! In front of SkewMond, Malrang stands no chance. A spear over the wall as well. Through the heart of Rogue, they run, but how far? Well, we'll see. Caps doesn't have the wall anymore, but wants to put down that E. Does get hooked onto it. Here comes the hero's entrance as well. BrokenBlade, you're very much a hero here as Larssen tried to separate the pack, but G2 are going to chase him down. Caps is looking for yet another as he wants his first kill of the game, rather, and BrokenBlade going to chase down the remnants. That is Adam. This game in the too hard basket. And with longer death time as a base, it's going to be tatters, if not destroyed completely. It has felt so anti-fun for Rogue to play this game. G2 have had a stranglehold, and they have not allowed Rogue vision, they have not allowed them team fights, they have not even allowed them the few objectives that they've really headed towards. G2, very clean, very dominant. Well, on to the Nexus turrets. I mean, Malrang's up in a second, Patrik up in 15. They're going to try anyway, and G2 have the soul, so it might help with the low health bars as Adam's ulti did nothing, and Malrang, as he steps up to defend, might be trying to do a little bit more than something as G2 run away. They're not going to take this full 5-on-5 that's soon going to become as True Shot Barrage comes through, and too low on the mana as well. The game won't end yet. Keep the Rogue game time high. Yeah, got to reach that 37-minute average, but Rogue are really limping at this point. It was really hard before for them to defend, and now with against the super minions, yeah, they have the Azir for wave clear, but it's not getting any easier. G2 go back, they'll spend their ill-gotten gains and prepare for assumed victory lap here. See if there's any last surprises. We're never going to get the 20k gold lead, are we? No, I feel like you need a Draven Pike for that. Yeah, I can get around. I think you need like many team wipes before a lot of the standing gold is down, you know? Like, true. You know, like, okay, maybe, you know, like first Baron spawns, you're already 13, 14k up. We had the Genji Hummer life game that was like that as Larssen. He's going to get away, but Cap I don't know if he is. Yeah, I mean, there's no chance, is there? He can do it himself. SkewMond tries to get involved, and with a 4 versus 5 now, SkewMond is now against the wall. Rogue might have an angle, but what angle is there? He's buying so much time. There's a hero's entrance. SkewMond is still alive. In goes BrokenBlade, and yeah, SkewMond's going to die. They keep it a little bit competitive, but how do you kill BrokenBlade as flying in to save the day as Hansama? And we're back to square one. Take a couple of kills to pad the stats. Hansama, he's going to end 4 kills up, open Nexus, and at 35 minutes, G2 make that slow burn, simmer out. If you're a G2 coach, that is exactly what you want to see.